Hello, I forgot to mute that one. It's loud. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. And mute. We've got a very special guest next to me here. It's welcome to the Grow Tent, otherwise known as GT. What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's going on, man? I'm doing pretty good. Getting better at least.
That's good to hear, brother. Good to hear. Well, we've got ourselves an eventful episode. We've got 1 hour to fit in as many questions as we can. So, guys, if you're listening right now, which I'm sure you are, get ready. Go ahead, and what I want for you to do when you do this is to write the word question and then follow it up with your question. That way, my boy Space Napkin, you're seeing him right now, he will be able to note that question. And what we're going to do from this point on is I will ask a question and you guys will ask a question. We'll just take turns going back and forth to best fit what it is the community is looking for. And let's start this bitch hot. Now,
Dude,
I've got a
I love
question.
that. I love the
Yeah.
putting a tagline on it because I'll sit there and have to read. Like I'm trying to read. I'm like, oh, these guys talking to this guy. Who's this? Is he's talking to someone else? I'm like, oh, this is a completely different conversation. Like trying to read the freaking chat and just
Mhm.
putting the question tag on there. I'm like, oh, that'd be so easy. Just okay. Look, there's the next one that says question. Now I can just fucking
Love
read
it.
it. That's fucking great.
And
I'm
so the
stealing
guy,
that.
my guy's, go for it, buddy. My guy Space Napkin back here, he just basically has a notepad under the chat and he'll just highlight copy and then paste it down there. And then he has his own microphone set up. So when it's the community's turn, he will be representing and speaking for them. We'll pull his screen up and it's really fun. It seems to work well. And we've had such a good success rate with it. It's kind of fun to tune it in. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
man,
awesome. I like that idea.
without that further ado, this is too cool to have you on due to the fact that everyone was excited about this, and so many have told me you are their very favorite content creator. So to just do them right, I'm going to swing with one of their own questions, starting with this question comes from Nick F. Morris. The question is, let me see if I can move my pen. Will GT ever show how to use an earth box?
Dude,
I
this
know
guy
you've
asked
seen that
this
one.
question on almost every one of my videos. Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to tell the guys to send me something, and I'd be happy to set it up. I got plenty of space. I got a giant, I've converted half my basement into a giant growing area, and I wired it and designed it just for growing, like all my tents, all my walls, everything. Each tent has its own outlet, own breaker, everything. I designed a whole room around growing. I'd be happy to do a earth box. I'll grow in anything. I don't care.
I think what it boils down to is the way that you explain things, and so many people who relate to you, they would just love to see you go over it in the way that they can understand.
Well,
That's badass.
it's all about just keeping. I try to keep everything extremely simple, and if I don't know something, I'm not going to try to like bullshit around it and act like I
Respect.
know how to use it. I try to just be honest, and I've just always found that no matter what system I was growing in, if I just paid attention to the plant, I could pretty much figure out, whether I'm in an earth box or I'm in this Vivo Sun smart box, one of these smart box things, or just growing in cocoa with an autopot system, or I'm growing in soil. The one thing that remains true, no matter what system I'm in, is the plant's going to react in a certain way depending on what it needs. And I've always just been really good at figuring out what the plant was trying to ask for me. So,
Well,
but
fuck
yeah, I'll
yeah.
use the earth box. Tell the guys at earth box to send me something. I'll grow in it. I don't care.
I'm sure it will get seen. I'm definitely sure it'll get seen.
Yeah.
That's badass. Now, Space Napkin, how are we looking so far? Have we got a few on the docket, or should we buy some more time? You haven't gotten any questions yet. All right, guys, I want you
Nice.
to understand this is from you. This is your chance. You want to ask it, feel free, because I'm gonna try to shirt tail the questions essentially. I'm gonna try to pick the things that you guys are wanting to know of, and I'm gonna jump around it, you know what I mean? Just to kind of cover bases. But let's talk about you for a second when it comes to growing. Would you recommend now, if you were somebody new getting into growing, would you
My
recommend
specialty.
yeah, yep. I noticed. I love it, and I think it's definitely helpful. And to just stomp on it, if you were somebody new getting in, would you suggest photo or auto?
Autos have actually come quite a ways from like, I mean, everybody knows my passion for hating autoflowers. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but they actually have come quite far in the recent years. But if you're a new grower, I'm going to tell you it's a photo period every day of the week, just because you're going to screw it up. You're going to mess this up, whether you train too hard or you don't train enough, you water too soon. It's going to be watering too soon. You're going to mess things up. You're going to overwater this plant. You're going to turn the light up too fast. You're going to give it too many nutrients. Now, I would say on the flip side, you could give it too little water, too little light, too little nutrients, but that's never the way it works. We as humans, that's not the way we do things. We want to maximize our yield, so we think the more the better. This plant doesn't usually get along too well with that. But with the photo period, since you're going to mess these steps up, and you know what, it's normal. You're normally going to mess these things up. With a photo period, you have time to fix things. With an autoflower, the second that plant breaks ground, you have lit a fuse and there is no stopping it. It is going to spend a certain amount of time in veg and it's going to flip itself into flower. Now, that sounds like it's the easier of two things. Like, oh, I don't have to do anything. This thing's going to go into flower all by itself. When you're new, you get a few grows under your belt. Not a big deal. But when you're brand new and you're going to be messing these steps up, which is okay, don't fret. You can always just send me an email if you got a question. It's completely free. It's just to thegrowtent@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy if I see it to answer it for you. But just for the first couple grows, at least stick with the photo periods, okay? And it's just because you have time if you mess something up, you have time to fix it, and then you get to choose when it goes into flower. I know the autoflower sounds cool because it's one less thing I got to do, but I'm telling you, to switch a timer over from 18.6 to 12.12 takes 30. It takes 10 seconds. I was gonna say 30 seconds, but I was like, I don't think it's gonna take anybody 30 seconds to flip those switches back to 12.12.
Understandable. And let's see
I
here.
do have some questions if we're ready.
Oh, indeed, my friend. I'll pull you up on there.
There we go.
All right. Z-Dabs wants to know if there's any particular stresses or techniques that your Magic County Mountain OG genetics do not like.
I wouldn't say there's any that they don't like. I'm personally not a fan of mainlining just because I don't like this slowdown that mainlining does work, but I've found that it costs me about an extra week of veg, and I'm all about maximizing efficiencies on things. My kind of bread and butter when it comes to training is I believe in high stress training. So I am a big proponent of topping and supercropping. I do them one time a week. I'll actually start topping my plants at the end of week 3 seedling stage. So I get on topping pretty aggressive pretty early. I know that scares some people, but just remember, if it was too weak to handle topping, then you probably should just throw it off the cliff anyway.
True.
But topping and supercropping is kind of like my bread and butter. I've found the high stress training methods with healthy plants. You have a sick plant, don't do high stress training. You're gonna have to stick to stuff like low stress training with the silly wire ties and stuff like that. But high stress training with a healthy plant, you'll get faster development, you'll get faster horizontal growth, spreading the plant out, and that's kind of what we're going for whenever we're trying to train these plants. If we're outside or if we're in a big tall warehouse where we not have the vertical height kind of constraints that growing inside tents, these methodologies that are my methodology of growing is based on a tent, an indoor tent setup where we don't have 20-foot tall ceilings and as much room to run the plant up as we can. We are vertically challenged whenever we are inside a tent. Even if you're in a big, tall, like 8-foot Gorilla Grow tent, you still are vertically challenged. You want to get the plant wider than taller. And I mean, the real trick of it is the faster we can get to 50% floor coverage on our tent, the faster we can get to flower. So you take a healthy plant, you start topping it and super cropping out wide as you can, keeping it even as you can. You're gonna get through veg pretty quickly.
Badass, brother. Oh, did I get you there? Okay, cool. Dun, switching it right. All right. So my question retaining around that, what is now? I know I've asked it on others, and I've asked their definitions of it and whatnot, but I like to just really grasp the knowledge in every angle. So, what is your definition of supercropping, or would you like to explain your interpretation of it?
Super cropping, whenever I've actually done quite a few videos on it where I use Connects like toys with it. But super cropping is just a super aggressive form of training where we are going to redirect how the branch grows. So whenever we top a plant, we go through and we just take the tops of the tallest part of the branches on the tallest part of the plant. Whenever we do that, the plant naturally redirects the growth hormone down from the top of the plant and goes to the lower branches to get them to grow out. Well, sometimes we need to aggressively widen the plant out because we're getting a little bit too tall and we want to bring, I talk about levels to a plant. Actually, I think I actually have a plant. Yeah, right here in my trash can of a drawing I was doing for somebody the other day. But when you have these plants, this is the kind of stuff I resort to whenever I'm on like consults and I'm trying to.
It works. It works
whenever
well.
I'm trying to show somebody something. But you can see there's levels to these plants as they grow. And if we take this up here and we top this and take off the apical of this plant, sure, we went from 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of the plant to now we take this. Now we've topped the plant and we have 1, 2, 3 levels of the plant left. Well, we still have 3 different heights here. So if we top this, we got to top this, and then this 1 will now turn it, we'll have a V right here, and we'll have 2 that come up out of this. And that's fine, that will work, but if we top this, top 1 and tearing it off here, we have these 3 different levels here. If we instead, now that we top the top of the plant, if we come back in here in between the second and third level, you got first level, second level, third level, we come back in here and we super crop at this level, we can take this. No, I'm a freaking goofball when it comes to this stuff. But we can take this plant that was up here at this level, super crop it, and bend this over. So now, instead of having a plant that had 1, 2, 3 levels, we can bend this over with a super cropping. And now these tops, where instead of having 3 levels, you have a plant that only has 2 levels. It has this first level, and now the second and the third level are all the same height. So now when we come back the next week, because remember, we only topped the top part of the plant. So whenever we bend this over, and now all of our tops from our second or third level, they're all on this top level. So now when we come back in top, instead of having 1 that turns into 2 and 2 that turns into 4, we now have 4 on this main level, and we get to top 1, 2, 3, 4, and those 4 turn into 8, those 8 turn into 16. And it's another methodology. By combining the 2 at the same time, we get to advance how fast the plant creates bushes, creates other branches, because of just taking those levels and combining them with super cropping. Because if we didn't super crop, we only get to top the top part of the plant. We don't ever top the lower branches because we don't want those to slow down. We wanted those to speed up and catch up to the top of the plant. But if you top them, it'll do the same thing the top of the plant did and redirect the growth hormone down. We don't want to do that. We want those lower branches climbing towards the top as fast as we can. And we can aid that by topping the top of the plant, and then we can take and bend that plant over so that this isn't the top of the plant anymore. We took it, we bent it over, we crunched it and rolled it in our hands, in between our fingers. Sometimes you got to use pliers to get that first break in there. And by doing that, we've now made the new top of the plant, and we've doubled the amount of tops that we get to do the next week. So it's literally just about conserving time, becoming more efficient with this. Do you have to do this? No, but will this save you? Just that trick alone. Think about going from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8. Instead, we take that and we add super cropping one time, and then instead of going 2 to 4, we go 4 to 8, 8 to 12. See how much 8 to 16. See how much faster the cumulative snowball effect of it rolling downhill, how much faster it becomes. it's one of the reasons that we can get through veg so quickly and get back into flower, which is everybody's goal.
Badass. Well said, sir. Much appreciated. And
if I talk too long on a subject, just kind of shush me, because I can
no,
get
you're
going
good.
for a minute.
The point of this show is not about me or anything like that. It's about you and the community. This is the time. I'm just presenting the platform for you to do so. So if you want to take all the time that you want, I'm not going to rush you. I am going to say it is his turn. And for everybody, I know that we normally do 2 hours, but we only have 1 hour. So we're just going to just back to back them like this. So it is on you, community. What is the question you have next, my good sir?
Dude, I do love the setup. Like your
Thank
the
you.
backdrop and everything. I dig it.
Thank you, sir.
Sick.
Appreciate
Pretty
you.
sick. The Panic Room is curious. Will GT ever do any organic grow tip videos?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, of course. The only reason I kind of focus on like I use general hydroponics a lot. I've used Floraflex before. The only reason I kind of stay with the general hydroponics is one, the channel is for brand new growers, and like when you're first getting into this, the likelihood, the likelihood of you finding general hydroponics. It's not that I like general hydroponics better than any other one. It's just the fact it's the biggest. So the likelihood that you find that general hydroponics trio at your local wherever is super high. The likelihood that you can find that over, say, something like Nectar of the Gods or Psycho, just any of them. It's not because I prefer general hydroponics. This is the reason I can't get sponsors, because I talk to you. I'm like, oh no, it's not because it's better. It's just because that's what's easiest for everybody to fucking find.
It's truth.
It's truth.
You speak
It doesn't
truth.
go along too well with sponsors sometimes. Usually.
Yeah, look at me. I don't get many views. Nothing fucking. They don't push. I get it. I speak truth a little too much.
But you know what? I think there's a commendability that comes with speaking truth, especially whenever it costs you monetarily. So I would never push something that I didn't think would work. I've turned down some really, really big checks, especially back when like the super huge green rush was happening, just because there's things that I wouldn't say to people. And I think I think, the audience can see that. And, they take, I don't want to be somebody that's just constantly pushing something new. Like if I get, probably 10 offers a week for sponsorship stuff, and most of them I just put right in the trash can. I just don't even, like, I read them. I'm like, yeah, no.
Oh yeah, brother. Well, let's see. I'm gonna pull it up on this one here. If this thing's got weird, there we go. All right, let's double up on that for the community. I see you got a nice list.
All right. Syntax is curious. If I grind up blood meal, will it break down quicker? It normally takes 1 to 5 weeks.
I think if you grind up anything, it could break down quicker just for the fact that you're doing it. Now, if you're looking at something like diatomaceous earth, it's already such a fine thing. Just because you grind it down wouldn't really do anything, like trying to get the silica out of it. But I don't ever use blood meal, so I won't talk too extensively on it.
Fair. All right, I'll take a turn. Let me see here. Do you lollipop?
Oh yeah, of course. So I think lollipopping is probably week 2 and week 3 of the stretch are the most important weeks as far as building colas, and controlling that stretch and not letting them race up towards the light. I think that's probably your number one goal during flower, is to keep those plants under control that way. I think number 2 would be to go in there and lollipop those plants. I start at the end of week 2 just because I want to know where my canopy is going to end up. I mean, I pretty much know, but I still wait till the end of week 2. And then I do it one time a week, week 2, week 3, just do it on the same day. So if Saturday was the end of my week 2, I'll go in there and lollipop. Your first time lollipopping each of your gardens, week 2 is going to suck. After that, there's nothing to it. Just keep the bottom clean. And what we don't want is anything happening on that lower growth, because there's only so much energy that's going through that plant. And you don't want your garden to devote any energy into that lower section that's going to be out of the light. And you have nice big full canopy up top. There's zero reason to have that lower stuff growing. So besides controlling your canopy through the stretch, those week 2, week 3, keeping everything even. I don't think there's a more important thing besides watering. But as far as like what you're actually working with the plant, I don't think there's anything that's to end up with big colas is to not let the plant focus on that lower third of the plant, because that's all fluff and it's all just boof down there anyway. So you don't want any of the plant's energy. You want that all directed up towards the top 2/3 of the plant. So definitely need to lollipop these plants, and you only have to do it once a week, weeks 2 through week 7, just one time a week. You don't have to go crazy with it. I kind of break whenever I'm doing it. I'll sit down. I mean, I don't have to do it like this anymore, but when you're starting out, don't look at it from up above, because what'll happen is you'll actually lollipop up way higher than you need to, because you're looking at it from a downward angle. You're looking at it from up here, and you'll end up with just the top. You'll end up with a foot of canopy at the top of the plant, because you'll just keep going up. So what I always tell people is, you're getting ready to do this for the first time. Even I don't care for your first few grows, just sit down on the ground right in front of the plants, and I'll just look at the plant. I'm like, okay, I'm going to divide this plant. It's this tall. I'm going to divide it evenly into 3 sections from the top of the pot. Here's 33%. Here's 33. Just into thirds. And anything that falls into that bottom third, as long as the branch doesn't come up, if the branch comes up out of that bottom third into the middle or the top, then you only clean the part of the branch that's in that bottom third, and just sit on the ground, chunk, 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 just divide it into sections or into levels, and just strip any kind of leaves or growth that you see over there. If the branch does not leave the bottom third, you clip the whole branch. If the branch leaves the bottom third into a higher level, you just clean that section that is in the bottom third, and then leave whatever's above that, you just leave it and let it grow. And that's kind of my view on lollipopping.
Beautifully said. And that just going over, like, he's really just focusing primarily on your grow oxidants and trying to get them to go, to your colas. And let's take one from the community. And I do see one off the top of the placement.
Yeah, because that's the whole goal is colas.
Exactly.
Whenever you get these plants, there's a thing that happens with this plant, and that's why I always said the number one thing you can do is control your canopy, the stretch on weeks 2 or week 3, because there's a thing that happens with this plant, and if you keep that spacing, that nodal spacing correct, and you don't let those, like there's a bud site here, and then you let this get just a little too stretchy right here. Those bud sites from here to here will never connect, and you end up, you guys probably had, some people probably had it happen. You just get like golf ball, or kind of like, always got a lighter on hand, or you just end up with like a lighter size, bud sitting there. And while those are cool, what we want is the connection. So if you let that spacing get just a little bit too far out from, match it white to white, you let that spacing, and these two never touch. They never run out of room vertically, so they never get that swell outwards. Where on the other hand, if this and this, they're stacked correctly, when this bottom bud hits this top one, they run out of that vertical climb up the stalk, and they have no direction to go but out. And that's where you get the math. You see these massive colas, is because that's why week 2 and week 3 of the stretch are so important, is because you didn't let them get crazy out of hand, and they were still able to stack and run into each other. And that's where you get that super huge swell that happens and makes a real cola. Do you guys have the joint on an extendable pole?
Yes.
I fucking love it. Dude, I love the new camera, like swinging setup, like the arm you had on there. That was fucking great.
Appreciate it. I've been working really hard on these things. I'm really trying to get serious about it, and I would love to actually one day get into film. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that'd be awesome. If you've noticed the kind of like the last video when they had Ricky GT in it, it was much more like skit based, kind of like a little movie instead of just like a little training thing. I've got a new video coming up pretty soon here. We're actually going to start filming it. I think it's not this weekend, but next weekend. And it's along the lines of what High Again did, where they took the plant and threw it into was it like a mulcher or something? They threw it into a mulcher, and then Mr. Grow It just did one where he took a weed whacker to it. Well, this one's going to have Ricky GT in it, and he's going to go a little bit over the top with it. So it's going to be kind of a cool one.
Well, if you need a guy to film it, you're looking at moi. No, I'm just kidding. I get it. But if you ever want anything, let me know. I'm fucking having fun with this shit, man. I have been freaking out, learning more and more, and having a blast.
Dude, I tell you what, it's so cool to watch people. Like, one of my favorite things to do is I like to watch a lot of the cannabis channels, and one of my favorite things to do is to watch like the new channels grow, and I try to support them, and I'll talk about them like either on my lives or something like that. It's just, I love seeing people that, like, knowing how like hard this is, and to still see people like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna come in, I want to, I think this is the best community on the freaking planet.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many communities
It is
on
so dope.
YouTube where it's so freaking toxic, and it's just, this is not one of them. I mean, sure, you can have some bad spots here and there, but for the most part, dude, the people of this community are so freaking cool. They are so welcoming. They are so eager to help, especially like new people. It's just refreshing to see that kind of community. I'm like, oh yeah, they're still good in the world.
It really is, dude. You get
Absolutely.
definitely amongst certain communities in particular. For instance, like yours and mine too. We have such a we're very fortunate because I just absolutely love my community. Before on here, I was in the Discord with everybody all day yesterday, all day today, and then like sometime last week I did the full day, like where I'm recording episodes and they're watching. Like it's really cool to just hang out. It's like backyard of YouTube is what I like to think. Sorry, apologies for all that. Let's you had questions, man. I'm sorry, community. My bad. I'm high, man.
Bad
That's the
GT.
weed.
Bad GT gets off on tangents, and
No, that was me. I
it's my
pulled you off.
ADHD.
No.
And
That was all me, friend. That is all.
I'm
I
like
promise you.
the dog from what was that movie?
I
Up, Squirrel.
We're sitting here doing a question thing, and I'm just asking you questions about off the wall shit. I'm sorry. Space napkin, send that bitch. Man, let's hear it.
All right. Kind Buds and Dank Nugs wants to know if you can re-veg a plant multiple times or will it herm?
It depends. So it depends on how far you let the plant get into flower. But generally, you can put these, like the mother plants, you can keep them in permanent veg forever. You just treat them like they're constantly in week 3 of veg. But the most I've ever done it is twice, and I never had any problems with it. I think a lot of herming traits come from physical stresses that. Oh, we got Savage in the chat here. Best shirts in the game on. He was rocking during the Growers Cup.
Sorry, add question before your stuff. All right, what was that? Yeah, Racho, he had the coolest shirt on. You pointed that out. I was like, yes!
The second I saw that, I was like, that's my shirt. I was like, that guy's got the best. He's got the best taste in shirts in the car.
I didn't know what it was at all. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought it was so dope because I was like an astronaut. I just didn't know at the time, and then he said it. I was like, that makes so much sense because I feel like I'd seen that on Instagram or something like that.
I don't
like,
ever put I don't make them obvious of what kind of shirt they are. So we'll get back to that question. So let me finish that one first. So I've done it twice. See, dude,
it was me.
Yeah, it was me. I saw Savage pop up, so that was my fault. I'll take the blame for that one. But I've done it. I usually do it twice if I'm going to go back and forth. If I'm what we call Monstercropping, where we're going from flower back into veg. I generally just don't like it for the simple fact is it takes so long. I don't like being inefficient with things. And Monstercropping is one of those things where you're trying the plant is heading towards the end of its life, and you can literally zip it backwards in time and bring it back to veg, but it takes a while. And generally, unless I've got something super crazy, I would rather just grab one of my, because before I put anything in the flower, I take clones of everything. Just in case you have something like, oh my God, this thing is amazing. I already have clones. And a lot of times if it was cool or just, what I was expecting, those clones, a lot of times they just go right into the trash. But I don't ever put anything in the flower without taking clones before I did it, simply for the fact is because I don't want to monster crop a plant. I don't like how long it takes to go from flower back into veg and to get the plant restabilized. And the longer you go into flower, the longer that backwards processing takes. So it's one of those things where I always take clones before I go into flower to avoid having to do it. And it will literally cost you nothing, a solo cup and a cutting, and you can avoid monster cropping altogether. just do a really good job with your labeling. Write with a Sharpie, tape over it, because if you wash it off and you mix it up, then all the clones are worthless anyway.
Hell yeah, brother.
But as far as the shirts, I usually don't make them overly.
I love them.
I don't usually make them overly. I don't like my name's not in like big giant letters or anything like that. I just kind of like making the artwork for them. I mean, I have me and the one I did with the collab I did with Chris. I have the Magic Candy Mountain shirt on right now.
I want one.
The thing is, like, they're only around for like 1 week.
They're so dope.
They're only around for 1 week, and then I put them for
special.
sale on my store, and they'll sell out. Well, I mean, we used to sell out. Like I would have I'd pre-order like 600 shirts, and I would have them all in stock, and they would sell out in 20 minutes. Like in 20 minutes, they were all sold out. Like I would buy 600 of them, and it got to the point where people were starting to get really upset. They're like, dude, I was off at work. I was trying to get logged in. The site kept crashing. And by the time I got in there, all the sizes were gone. They're like, I got on half an hour after the sale went live, and all 600 t-shirts were gone. So I didn't think it was fair that, since I don't ever make the shirts again, like if I kept making the shirts, it'd be different. I could just order more. I was like, I didn't think it was fair that you were there and you just couldn't get one. So now the shirts are all on pre-order. So I'll have the store go live on like a Friday, and I'll close it on a Monday. And you can order as many shirts as you want in that time period. And phone's silent. But you can order as many shirts as you want in that time period. And then when I close the store on Monday, then I just go back in there, tally everything up from the different shirt, whatever design it was. And then I tally it up, and then I just order the shirts. It takes like 3 to 4 weeks, because usually we'll do like 1,700 t-shirts in a weekend was what we'll generally sell. Between 1,700 and 2,000 t-shirts is what usually goes out in a weekend.
Fuck yes, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I sell a shirt a month sometimes. I'm new, dude. I don't.
The community question.
Yeah, you gotta remember though.
I was just pulling you up, man. I got you.
You gotta remember though. I've also been doing this for 8 years now. I've been making these videos, and it's been a long road.
Oh, for sure, man.
But that's kind of the cool part about it is you get the one chance to get the shirt, and it kind of like time stamps like how long you've been around, like whether you had that shirt or
I
not.
respect that,
because you can't ever. It probably cost me quite a bit of money by not having the old shirts available, like when new people sign up. But I just think it's cool for the shirt to be like you either got it or you didn't. It's kind of like a Woodstock thing. You had to be there. If you weren't there, they're not doing it every weekend. It was just, that's what's cool about it.
Hell yeah, brother. Hit us with that question, mister. Send it.
All right. I'm going to usually resume the comments in chronological order from when they're asked, but Truth Exposed has been dying to know if you GT seal the wounds that you make from lollipopping with anything.
I can't. Can we turn his mic up just like a touch?
Oh, take the tape off of it. Oh, no. Here's what you do. Okay, go to your audio, because I turned you down to notch 14. So when you go to the mic, you'll be able to see it. Turn it to 20. It is obnoxious if you go any louder, though.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, I'm like, keep turning up my volume, and it's just like super, super quiet. Like your volume is great. It's just his is just Nate's.
I gave him a new mic. So I appreciate you saying something. That allows me to get that fixed. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that better for you?
I can't hear.
Try 30.
Testing 30.
Yeah, perfect. There you go.
All right.
It was just very, very, like, I could kind of hear it, but it was just
space napkin right on. You see where it's written on the side of the microphone 15? Wipe that out, and we're gonna put 30 on there. That way, remember. I want shit to be set every time we do these lives. Now we have a new mic over there. I want it right. Thank you. The question with him, I'm gonna pull you. Did you hear the question properly?
No, I heard I thought something about roots or something.
All right. Truth Exposed wants to know if you seal the wounds you make from lollipopping with anything. He smears a bit of cinnamon or peppermint oil around the root.
Because I kind of look at it the same way in nature. So one of my big things that I used to hate whenever I would watch like YouTube videos back in the day is people would put on like sterile gloves, and they're like sterilizing their scissors and stuff whenever they were like taking time for cloning or stuff like that. And it used to drive me crazy. And I would just go in there. Sometimes I went in there with like electric hedge trimmer or a chainsaw, and I would just be in there chopping the plants in half. Like, look how careful I'm being. And my main kind of thing about it was, whenever a deer comes up to these plants in the woods, deer's mouths aren't clean. They're not like, oh, you only have to do it between here or here. You can't go this far down or anything like that. They don't do that. They just eat the whole top of the plant until they're done with it, and then they move on to the next. Nothing happens to that plant. I mean, the deer's mouth's super disgusting and dirty. It never even brushed its teeth. It doesn't not using any Listerine or anything. And nothing happens to that plant. You know what happens is it's just a natural form of topping, and the plant gets bigger and grows back up again the next week. I don't ever put anything on the wounds. I've transplanted plants before where I was, transplanting like really big mothers, and I was putting them from like 7 gallons into 10 gallons, and they'd actually just split down the whole center of the stalk all the way down to the soil. And I'll grab both half of the plants. I've done this on lives before when I was transplanting. I just push them back up together, and then I'll take a screw gun with a drywall screw, and I'll just run it right through the center of the stalk, and then I'll put a couple of zip ties on it, and that's it. The next week I'll come back in, I'll take the screw, I'll just rip it right back out, cut the, because this plant's all healed back together. And but yeah, I'll run drywall screws right through the main stalks just to put the main stalk back together.
Hell yeah, brother.
So no, I don't cover anything. The short answer to that is no, I don't cover it.
Deal. All right, Space Napkin, let's go with it.
All right. Blazing Arizona is curious, how many phenotypes did you find in your blueberry spacewalk?
So far we're at about 4. So the main ones were, everything was very blueberry because of the cross we were doing. But there was one that I particularly liked, and it smelled like blueberry pancakes, like syrup. It smelled just like when you would make pancakes in the morning, and more pancakey than blueberry, but the blueberry was still there. But the one we'll be chasing down for future generations, because that one was super popular, so we'll definitely do a generation 2 of it, and we'll be chasing down that. The mother I have going is the pancake one, so I just thought it was cool. I was like, anytime my wife is an edible person, I am a flower person. So anytime I get her approval for one, like she hates all the skunk stuff. She hates it. She's like, this smells atrocious.
Right.
So there's been a couple of strains that have actually been banned in my household. Like we can't grow the Spartan Skunk OG, and I can't grow Crescendo, because Crescendo, while the smoke was great, the smell of the plant was almost toxic. Whenever you were cutting it down, it smelled like you had ate curry Indian food all day and then drank tequila all night and shit in a diaper and then lit it on fire. That was like the closest phenotype smell I could attribute to it. The smoke was great, but it was atrocious, the phenotype we had of it. Very strong, but the wife's like, you can never grow that again. She's like, I will move out.
Fuck yes.
But anytime I can get an approval from her, she's like, this smells like breakfast. She's like, this smells freaking amazing. She goes, you can grow this anytime you want.
That's a good thing. That's like, Maywiggle doesn't smell. I put charcoal filters everywhere. Send it, napkins.
All right. Saul Bunyan is curious, what are the skate decks in the back?
Oh. Let's see. The first one, I'm going to do this backwards here. This one right here, this one was actually made by someone that used to watch the channel. He was like a custom hot rod, like car painter. And it might be a little tough to see that one. There we go. But if you look at that one, it's got like all kind of like low rider style, like airbrushing done on it. And it's got, I don't know, like 10 coats of like glitter freaking paint. It looks really cool. And then he airbrushed "Welcome to the GROWTENT" actually into the board right there. And then he signed the back of it. So he actually just made that for me, and I got it in the mail one day. So that was really cool. And then this one is actually the prize for the next grow contest. So it's one of the prizes. There's quite a few of them. But it says like Grand Champion up at the top right there. And then it's got some of my artwork. It's all reflective in like blue tiger stripe. And then it says second annual WTT GT grow off down here at the bottom. but it's actually got just one
Those
of my
are
artwork pieces.
those are
That
actually of your stuff. That's fucking cool. Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah, that's all I made. The second one is all my. You know what, hold
Jesus
on, I'll just grab
hell.
it.
Yeah, definitely. I understand now. I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, that's not grow related shit. And
This
then it
kind of
just
shows you
hit
the
me that
size of
those are the
this
same.
neon thing back here.
That's bad. Yeah, that's badass.
You
I
don't
didn't know
realize
your
how big
shit was
that
actually on
neon
your
sign
boards
is
though.
because I'm so far away from it. But that thing's extremely big.
That's actually cool as fuck. Let's see it.
So this is the board I designed. So it's a skate deck, a real skate deck. So you could use it if you wanted, or just hang on a wall.
No shit.
But it says second annual WTTGT Grow Off. It
Oh, that's
says
fucking cool.
Grand Champion. The whole thing is like reflective. I designed all of it. So, and then it's all sitting on like holographic tiger stripe background. And then it's just got some of my artworks in like a collage. You got the bulldog down there at the bottom. You got Ricky GT. You got the giant, the Spartan, and you got the one of my oracle design right there. So it's just a bunch of my different designs all put onto a skate deck, and it's all reflective. I just thought I'd make a cool trophy.
Saw you're awesome. Send it.
Okay. Smoke in the water is curious. When do you stop defoliating or lollipopping?
Week 7, as far as week 7 is going to be a super light one anyway. Your first one at week 2 is going to, this is for lollipopping. Remind me to do defoliation next because I'll forget about it because I get talking about lollipopping. But week 2 of flower is going to be your first one, the end of week 2 on lollipopping. It's going to be your most extensive one because it's just a mess down there at the bottom. And then you're going to do that once a week. Stay in that same area. Don't trail up the plant, but just stay in that same area one time per week. And that's all there is to it. I remember defoliation because we already talked about lollipopping, so I didn't have to go too far into it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get too big into defoliation. If I have a problem leaf, like all I want to do is I want to make sure that any kind of cola, because I'm focusing on making colas. I don't really give a crap about the little stuff at the bottom. The only time I'm taking off the big fan leaves is if they're being a pain in the butt or there's like a congregation of them all hitting the same spot and there's bud underneath. I'm going to try tucking those down. If there's a bunch of them all jamming together, I'll pick a couple of them off, but I will mainly just retuck them underneath because as you pull those fan leaves off, the plant's just going to regrow them. And if I don't want the plant focusing on regrowing fan leaves, I want the plant focusing on growing colas. I don't want it multitasking. I want it to be doing and thinking about as few of things as possible. Because when you pick those fan leaves off, you're not just picking off a fan leaf that's blocking out the light. Those fan leaves, they're green, they're full of nutrients, they're the powerhouse of the cells. That's where the majority of the photosynthesis of this plant's happening. And if you go through there and you do a big leaf stripping, the plant now has to take all those nutrients that were in those leaves, gather them from the soil, send them back up the shoots, and regrow those leaves out. And I don't want the plant concentrating on that. I will do selective defoliations where I'm paying attention to, I don't want light not getting hit on my lower canopy sites. I'm going to start off with tucking, and then if I've got a bunch of them together, then I'll pick some of them off. But they're just going to grow back. You can pick all the leaves off you want. I do it all the time because like whenever I'm spraying my plants with like colloidal silver and STS spray, I strip the plants bare because it makes it easier to spray the main branches of the plant without wasting a bunch of it on the leaves. But they grow right back. I mean, within 2 weeks, the plant looks like I didn't touch it. It's a bush again.
Fuck yeah. I guess the links that I'm posting aren't coming in, or maybe I just sent the wrong ones. Let me try this. Oh, because I'm putting YouTube in front of it to show what it is, but it's not registering. So check this out. What we're going to do for a second, I don't know if you've noticed this. I'm posting links. The one you're just seeing there, that's going to be the Welcome to the GrowTent channel on YouTube. Now what we're going to do is this one is his Instagram. And what I would like for you guys to do is go ahead and subscribe to him and check him out on all these platforms. Now we're seeing here is Patreon coming up next.
I don't have a Patreon anymore.
Never mind, he doesn't have a Patreon anymore. But what you're seeing right here is going to be Twitter. This is the Twitter coming in hot right there. I don't have the link to his Facebook, but if somebody could provide that,
I don't have a Facebook for it. But I do have a website. So after Patreon deleted me, Yeah, it cost me a ton of money a month because I had built at one time the biggest cannabis related Patreon on the planet. After they deleted me, I just decided I'm not going to do this where I'm playing in somebody else's sandbox by their rules. I had my own, basically, it's a social media site built. I have my own web designer. We built it from the ground up. You can just find it at wttgt.com. Super easy, and it'll take you right to there. That's where my merch store and everything is. It's also where my memberships are, just like it would have been for Patreon, but we have a lot more freedom, I should say, over on my own website. My memberships over there, and all of my crosses that I ever make, they are 100% free for any of the, if you join any of the memberships that have VIP in the title, I give them all away for free. I do not sell them. All the merch is, the people in the Patreon, or not Patreon, but the people in the memberships are the only people I ever tell when the t-shirts go live. So they're the only one that I have people that aren't in the memberships that literally just go to the site like once a week, twice a week, just to see if the merch store has anything in it. But I mean, hey, if you're going to do that, more power to you. It's way easier if you just joined up and
Right.
subscribe to a membership. But I probably do 4 to 5 new drops or releases a year, and I don't charge anything. If you're a VIP member, you get them absolutely for free. I don't sell them ever to anyone. And also, whenever you also get one-on-one consultations with me. So just like we're sitting here, just like this, a big part of the memberships is you get one-on-one consultation. So it's just like having me in your grow room with you. You get consultations every single month, and we just turn on the cameras, and it's just me and you and your plants, and we just sit there, and it's like I'm going over your plants with you in real time. And you get those included with your membership also.
All right.
And then
Let's
when you're not
play.
on that, you have a direct link right to me, and people fire questions to me all day long, and I sit there and I answer them every single day.
We're going to. Oh, okay. Perfect. So here's our new game. We're down to 13 minutes. So it's 12 minutes and 48 seconds. What we're going to do is rapid fire shit. We're going to try to bang through every question you've got left there. Are you
Okay.
down for this game?
I'll try to keep
Yep.
my answers shorter, but
Well, this is the game. What we're going to do for the last 10 minutes of these segments from now on is like rapid fire that way. Because a lot of these we end it and it's not like a whole bunch answered and stuff. So I want to do a rapid fire ending. Let's go. And so if you're cool to try it out, we're
Yep.
going to try to
I'll
go
try.
at it. And
I'll try to keep my
space
answers
after.
short.
Brother, you're doing great, dude. I love what you're doing for sure. You keep it up.
Okay. Does monster cropping stress? Oh, sorry. Dinogro wants to know. Does monster cropping stress out the plant so much that if you do get it back to health and clone it, can you make healthy seeds from it still?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I
if
am
you-
starting the 1 minute and 30-second timer.
Yeah, absolutely. You can. The biggest thing is it's once you've stressed a plant to where it starts herming, whenever you weren't going for it, but you've induced growing stresses on the plant where it can't recover from that. If you ever get the plant where they start herming, just trash it, start over with something new. But if your plant was healthy, no problems, no problem there. So that was a good one.
That was a badass answer. Pull it up, napkins. I'll stop
All
the
right.
timer.
RDog1178 wants to know, how do you try to control the stretch?
It's a great question. The stretch is how I control them is with a Scrog net or training method. Since we're already in flower, I don't even know what that fucking is. Since we're already in flower, we have I put a Scrog net up the day 1 of flower. I use a Scrog net to control my stretch. So weeks 1 through 3 of flower is the stretch. And as you go through week 1 of the stretch, it doesn't do much. The plants just kind of may get a few inches of vertical growth. But weeks 2 and week 3 of the stretch, remember we were talking about this earlier, this is the most important part of flower. You use that as they vertically grow. As soon as they can reach a new square, you just take that top and pull it into the new square. Take that top, pull it into the new square. Your job, the only time you have to go in and mess with these plants every single day is week 2 and week 3 of flower, because you need to keep that canopy even. Because what we don't want is we have some plants over in this side of the garden that are this tall, and then we have some plants in the middle that are this tall, and then we have some plants on the other end that are this tall. Now we have plants growing under different ppf, so they're growing under different light intensities, because these ones over here are closer to the light, these ones over here are not as close to the light. So now you have plants that are growing under different intensities, and then you're going to end up with different results. We want conformity throughout the whole garden. There we go. But use Scrog net.
5 seconds. Use a Scrog net. Hell yeah. This
That
is
was the
fun.
shorter answer was use a Scrog net.
This is fucking fun. All right, now send it.
All right. Thomas Cross really wants to know if you prefer topping or stress training. He feels like doing a 90-ish degree bend with plant clips does essentially the same thing as topping.
Yeah, so what he's referring to is
Clock
whenever you're
starts.
doing, so topping is a high stress training. When you're using those clips, it's kind of a mix of high stress and low stress because you're using those clips as a form of super cropping. I always say those clips are like super cropping with training wheels. So it's a decent way to do it. They're cheap, they're not expensive, and if that's what you're comfortable with, that's fine. Me personally, I'm not going to buy them. I'm literally just going to crush the plant with my hand. I'm going to work it back and forth like this to break up the insides just a little bit. And then I'm just going to flex it over to whatever position I want it in. I don't need the clip. But if you're more comfortable with the clip, I have no problem with people using it. The biggest thing when you're going to use those clips, especially if you're going to go with one of the 90-degree bend ones, just give it a little squeeze right where you want it first, and then you can insert it, and it's easier to bend around that. It's easier to bend around that control without snapping the branch. Because sometimes when the branch is a little tough and you go to make that 90-degree bend, you can actually just break it. And if you do, just relax, calm down, focus. You'll be all right. Just line it back up, put a little piece of tape there, do it in a different spot next week.
Well done, sir. Well done. All right, send it, my friend.
Okay. 85 Bluesman 1. How would you try to save a harvest that may have dried too fast?
Time
Well,
starts now.
you can do a few things. So if I've got a harvest, you can actually ruin a harvest pretty fastly, pretty quickly. You've seen I've take hygrometers and I'll smash them to shit with hammers and stuff on my channel just because I think growers rely too much on equipment. There's one caveat to that I have, and it's during drying. Drying and curing is not too big of a deal, but the drying process, all that time you spend in seedling, all that time you spend in veg, all the training, all the feeding, all the watering, you can ruin all of it with drying your stuff out too fast or it being too wet, not having the right airflow there, and then you get mold, mildew, and all that kind of stuff. But you'll actually see me. I heavily rely on hygrometers and stuff like that because it's that important to have your zones right whenever you're drying you're drying out. Because if you dry it out too fast, you really only get one chance of this. The only thing that you can do if you dried it out too fast, throw it into your cure jars a little bit earlier, put a two-way, like a 62, 63% pack in there with it and seal it up. But a lot of times, whenever you over dry them like that and then you try to rehydrate them, you'll lose all that terpene profile smell, and you just end up with like wet gym socks or hay smell. But that's why I made a 13-minute video that went over the process of 18 days in one of my earlier videos, trying to walk through a step-by-step process of what I'm doing during drying, what I'm looking at, what I'm checking, when I'm taking off fan leaves, that kind of stuff, because of how important the drying is. One of the most critical aspects of whether you have a good you could grow the best plants you ever grew, and then you can mess everything up in that 2-week time period of drying if you don't stay on top of it. And your control room better be, you need to have that lined out before it's time to hang the flowers up.
And this is just for fun. If the timer ever goes off, dude, don't just stop. You keep on. And seriously, I want you to get your message. I don't want to cut you off when you haven't explained it. I just wanted you to know I didn't clarify that.
I just stopped.
There you go.
Hey, Chronic, thanks for sending that super chat into Astro. That's awesome, buddy.
Dude, isn't it crazy? Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
I like that message, too. That's a great message.
Isn't it? I was hoping a link would pop up, so I'll put it on there, too. Someone drop the link to the website real quick, too.
Yeah, super easy, guys. Just WTTGT.com. It provides you a direct link to me. It's pretty nice. We get you into my Discord. My Discord is private. It's not open to everybody. My Discord and my mods, they are all extremely helpful. I'm very proud of the community that we've built over the years, and I'm super proud of the website that I've just designed. It's basically a Facebook for potheads, but it's just for us. There's no trolls in there, no nothing of the sort. It's extremely helpful people. You get video consultations with me, and you get a direct link to me where you can just send me messages all day long if you want, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can throughout the day.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now can send it. Let's see
All
what we
right.
got.
Bizzle420 Grow AZ
My
wants to
dude.
know, does the GROWTENT use any PK boosters with general hydroponics?
I fucking hate talking about PK boosters.
You don't
But,
have to. You don't have
no,
to at
I
all.
will, just because PK boosters, when used correctly, are about a 5 to 7% increase in yield on a facility that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you're in a 4x4 tent as a home grower, you're maybe a half an ounce you get out of it extra if you're lucky. But the downside is if you use 1 milliliter per gallon too much, your plants die. So as a new grower, don't touch PK boosters until your gardens are filling out edge to edge, front to back. You got 2 foot of canopy. It's just like adding CO2. There is zero reason to add CO2 to your garden until you are maxing out your canopy's width, length, and depth. If you are not already maxing those out as far as filling out that tent space, your square footage, there's CO2 is a waste of time. This is one other reason I can't get sponsors. The TNT bottles, the mushroom bags, full CO2 mother bottles with regulators. That is all a waste of money if you are not filling out your garden already. Because if you are not filling out your garden, your plant is not growing to its potential. You're wasting time with it, and now you're going to be wasting money on things that do not matter because you're already not bringing the plant up to potential. Now, on the other side, if you are growing your plant to potential, you're like, GT, my gardens look just like yours, brother. We're doing great. Okay, that's a different story. I actually just made a video a few weeks ago, or maybe I think it was 2 weeks ago, where I went over like what I exactly do in flower, and I have my formula for adding PK boosters in it. So if you want to go watch it, I think it's called GT's personal formula for giant colas or something like that.
Hell yeah, brother.
But be careful.
sorry.
Be careful with PK boosters. I did a video once on PK boosters. The very next day, I had at least 3 burn up gardens, completely brown, because they were like, well, if a little's good, they did the Ricky GT method. If a little's good, a lot's better. And if you do that, if you try to bring that mentality in with the PK booster, everything dies.
Beautifully said, sir. Thank you very much. And I know I was bobbing my head like I knew what you were talking about, but truthfully, I don't even know what the fuck PK is.
Next. It's just a concentrated version of your flower nutrient is all PK booster is. So like, let's say you had a flower nutrient that was 0 for nitrogen and then 8 and 8 for potassium and phosphorus. Instead of being 088, it would be 01616, or it might be 03232. It's just a concentrated version of a PK boost of a flowering nutrient. And we actually use them. I usually actually use them as more of a trick to fight off the fade from happening early than I do as a growing booster to get bigger buds. My buds are already huge. I don't have that problem where I need a booster. So I use it more to help people. I'm like, look, you should buy it, keep it in your garden. If your fade ever starts to happen early, generally fades are induced because you're starting to run out of your phosphorus and potassium in your growing media. You can fix it with a little simple trick with a 20-ounce bottle of water and 1 to 2 milliliters of, that's the video right there, 1 to 2 milliliters of a PK booster. You can fight that fade off for a couple weeks to get you to the later part of flower, because generally your early fades will start happening around the middle to end of week 4 or the beginning of week 5, and we don't want it to happen that early. We want to, try to get it out to week 6 before we allow the fade to start coming in.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
All right. Last question. Just in time. Barely made it. Dirt Demon wants to know, what do you use for pest prevention and killer?
You can finish it all with that. I'm not going to start a timer.
Yeah, so it's a couple of things. So One is your cleaning. I know this is not the cool answer or the fun answer, but your detailed cleaning in between grows will make a huge difference in this. Bleach solution, wipe down every surface. One of my perks of my ADHD is I hyper focus on things, and cleaning in between rounds is one of them. I will literally take fans apart. I will take the lights down. I will detail clean every surface in the room, in that tent in between rounds. You're going to be a huge one. Don't leave mess from your old stuff to your new grow. Would be my number one. Number two would probably be diatomaceous earth. It gets a couple of benefits. Anything that's creepy, crawly, that's in your soil, a couple handfuls of diatomaceous earth in soil. It's like adding razor wire into your soil. There is nothing that will be crawling around in that soil. Fungus gnats, whatever you want. Spider mites also hate diatomaceous earth. If diatomaceous earth touches anything, it is super hydrophobic and pulls the water out of them, dehydrates them, and kills them. The other thing you can use if you're more organic oriented is neem oil is fantastic, and you can always use your yellow sticky traps. My yellow sticky traps are always pretty boring because there's nothing on them. So, and then the other thing is, if you don't care about the natural, there is nothing that beats a hot shot pest strip. But if you have any like pet spiders or anything there, don't use them because they'll kill them. But a hot shot pest strip will kill every spider mite in your garden. There will be no fungus gnats flying around. There will be no pest whatsoever. They're $7.99 on Amazon, and they're just like a little air freshener. You can just hang it up in the room that you're in. If your tent is in the room that you sleep in, do not put one up. But if it's like in a different room, that's okay. The hot shot pest strip will do like 1,300 square feet, and it kills every bug in the room. I had a buddy that was starting to have a spider mite infestation. He hung one up, took it out 4 days later, and there was not a single spider mite alive in the entire grow.
I'm a mix on these things. Like when you say, like I've heard Jeremy Silva even say good things about some of these, but me personally, like diatomaceous earth, that's hell on fucking earth. Like I do not recommend it because it destroys shit. Like it will fucking get everywhere, and then once you water your plants, it's all gone anyway. But not that that's a bad thing. Diatomaceous earth is really good for your shit too. It's not bad, but it will cause a hell of a mess, and it will get in your fans. It'll blow everywhere. It, like that, just know, like there's a lot of good, but just know that it sometimes could be messy. And then with like, you know, neem oil, it's really, really good. Jeremy Silva speaks really highly of it too. But personally, like I've always heard like a mixed thing, and so that's where I wanted to just, if we have an extra minute, maybe bite your ear on is neem oil. So many mixed opinions, and my personal preference is to stay the fuck away because it closes the stomatas. It's like a big fucking, it's kind of like you're throwing a clear coat over your plant in a way, you know what I mean? Like
correct, 100% correct.
But why is it so beneficial? Like people still are really into it and stuff.
It's just for, as far as fungus gnats or thrips, is basically what the main things that people are going to be using it for. And it's kind of like citronella for mosquitoes. And it's not something, if you can, like, I don't ever have to use it. Like if I do anything, I do the diatomaceous earth, and it's a good point. Turn all your fans off when you're going to be messing with it, because the last thing you want, it's not good to breathe in either because it's super sharp. It feels like flour to us. It's super soft to us. But if you look at it on a microscopic level, it looks like broken up glass is what it looks like. It's like fossilized seabed material. And it's like razor wire in your soil. So any of the fungus gnats, I don't know if you guys know this, but when they're babies, they're maggots. So they live in that top 2 to 3 inches of your topsoil. Well, if you take and add the diatomaceous earth, just top dress it in. Don't just throw it on the top, because then when the fan hits it, it is going to blow everywhere. But you just take it. I'll take a small handful of it. I'll sprinkle, no fans on, because you sprinkle this while your fans are running. It's going to, and then it's going to look like you had a food fight with flour in your tent. But I'll just sprinkle it on nice and soft. And then I just take my hands and I slowly mulch it in, just top dress it in to the top 2 to 3 inches. And I do that one time a month. That's it.
I put it in
one time a month, and that's it.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. I was saying I was going to actually ask you how you applied it, because that would help a lot of people. because some think, just throw it everywhere and shit. But what he was saying was emphasizing on do not use fans, turn them off, please. It will help you in the long run. As he said, mix it in with your soil. That's a really good idea, or with your top dressing, whatever it is you're doing. And personally, what I was doing, and I found a lot of luck in it, is through the vegetative state, the earlier states and everything. Basically, I'm going in cycles. Every week I switch it up. I use anywhere from Dr. Zymes the first week to Captain D's Dead Bug the second week, and then plant therapy for the third. I go in cycles of that so they don't build a tolerance and become what's called zombie mites. It's essentially spider mites that have developed the ability to withstand whatever it is you're using to treat them. And
you have to bring the Azomax in for those.
Exactly.
And
so is there anything that you personally wanted to talk about, go over, suggest to people, new growers, anything that you just want to talk about? I'm giving you as much time as you would like to do so.
The biggest thing I want to tell people is don't give up. I know this is confusing whenever you first start. I know that there's so much information and there's so many different ways to grow this plant. And the biggest thing I can say is don't mix your information, because the kind of growing system that you're using or the materials that you're using, it makes a big difference on the, well, I like what this guy said about this, but I'm using this. You try to stick to one growing system. If you like somebody's growing system, I don't care if it's mine. I don't care if it's like Mr. Growitz. I don't care if it's Rob's from CLTV. I don't care if it's Pigeons. I don't care if it's Mr. Canucks, whoever. Just stick with the one bit of information and don't mix a bunch of informations together. I know this is super confusing whenever you first start, because this channel says one thing, and then this channel says another, then this channel says another. You can sit down. I've got my notepad. I'm going to take all these notes, and then you can be more confused 3 hours later than you were before you sat down. Don't stress. You got to relax. You got to calm down. It says it right there. Calm down. And then just focus up. Figure out one person that you like. Stick with it. I promise you'll get this. Just don't give up after a grow or two if you've had bad luck. There's no reason to freak out about it. I promise you're going to get through this. You're never going to have to go pay $71 for an eighth at the dispo again for some crap weed. I've never walked out of dispo and like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, never. And it's always been super expensive.
So right, man.
So you can do this. I promise you that I don't care how bad your garden looks right now. You can get through this. Don't give up. Don't sell all your stuff for pennies on the dollar on Craigslist. Even if you don't want to join any of my membership tiers, you can send me an email at thegrowtent@gmail.com. That's the number 2, thegrowtent@gmail.com. I do get about 1,000 emails a day, but if I don't see it, just send me the same email again in 2 or 3 days, and hopefully I'll see it one of these times when it comes through. It's free of charge. I don't care. I'll try and help you as best as I can on this journey.
Can I get it to stay? Is this flashlight dead? Wow, I had this all planned out. Let's just not work. Yeah, fuck yeah, brother. There we go. Now let's talk about something real quick while we're here, and that is, where can everybody find you? Obviously, I've put a lot of the links here. Is there anything that they should know about, something new that they could find you at, or just shout yourself out in every way that you can, so that everybody listening who hasn't seen the chat the whole time, maybe they can find you?
You can find me at my YouTube channel. I upload content there. I upload a long form content video once a week. I do shorts a few times a week. And then like once every week or two, I'll also do live streams where I pretty much do this, where I just sit there and take questions the entire time on the grows and anything I can do to help you out to grow this plant or anything you're confused on. You can find me at my website, WTTGT, if you want a more personal one-on-one touch. Maybe you're embarrassed to type your question in here because you don't want everybody to be like, oh, that's such a newbie question. There is zero amount that of a question you could ask me where I'm like, oh God, how dumb is this guy? I would never even think that. Trust me, we've all had those questions. I can get you through this. You can find me on Instagram at welcome_to_GROWTENT. Well, the _GROWTENT. Don't put the underscore after GROWTENT though. That is not me. That is somebody impersonating me that Instagram won't take down their.
What a dick.
Yeah, I know. So that's not me. Mine just GROWTENT and then it ends. I think I have a Twitter. I think it's just I don't actually remember. I know
I got
Pest.
your link. I'll drop the link too here.
I don't
But
remember. I haven't been on there in forever.
yeah, it's twitter.com/WGrowTent.
There you go. Welcome, GROWTENT. Got it.
And I'm going to copy that and paste it for everybody who's.
And then do have my own Discord. It's private. There's, once again, no trolls. There's people on there 24/7. I believe I've got probably 2,000 of the best growers on the planet in there that are answering questions 24 hours a day.
Oh, how cool.
All day long. So no matter what time zone you're in, I got really good growers on pretty much all corners of the planet that hang out in there. So,
fuck yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the places you can find me. I don't make it. I make it to where I try to get to as many people as I can every day.
Well, I can respect that. That's for sure. So everybody, this is welcome to the Grow Tent. And dude, thank you so much for being here with us today. We truly appreciate it. You've helped so many people, I'm sure, be able to answer the questions and everything. So much obliged. And yeah, fuck yeah, dude. That's pretty cool. Did you see all the comments from everybody's like, yeah, shit like this? Fucking dope, dude. I get excited when I see that because it's fucking working. Like everybody's seeing it. They're having a good time. So thank you all for being here for this. And I'm going to roll and smoke a blunt with y'all before dipping out and stuff. But you said you had an hour, so you're welcome to hang out with us and talk more. Or I just want to let you know the door is open. If you really had to go do something, I can't remember.
Yeah, I got to pick my kid up from school. They generally
that's
don't
what
like
I knew
it
was important.
if you don't pick them up on time.
Well, you better hurry, mister. I'm not going to hold you up and be the reason for that. So I just want to say thank you personally for coming on the channel and helping so many people out just now. So
awesome, man. It was a good time. Love the channel. Love what you guys are doing over there. I see nothing but big things for this channel in the future. So,
well, dude, thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot, brother. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I'll pull this over here, and I guess you guys are going to watch me roll this blunt real fast here.
All right, you guys have a good time.
You too, brother. Oh, Space, that was your job.
I see.
Good. I'll see you later, buddy. All right, so we got her all handled right there, and I'll tilt this to where I can look at you guys and talk, but thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate that. And you can look forward to seeing me at MJ BizCon, as well as quite a few people that are in the chat right now. So I figured I would use the ending of this to go over that a little bit. Basically, that is, what was the date? December something. They changed it. It wasn't the same as last year. Saul, I know you're in here. What's the date for MJ? But if you don't have your tickets already, I wouldn't recommend getting them due to the fact they're going to be extremely fucking expensive. At the beginning, if you get them early enough, they're like $200, so not shabby whatsoever. But you can expect to see me there. That's in Las Vegas, and it's coming soon. And yeah, so actually, I'm going to go ahead and end it at the hour marker, but I'm going to roll this blunt with you guys. I got a shit. I'm not going to lie. Alrighty. Well, you guys have a great night, and thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Much love, everybody. Hit that like button. Bye-bye. We did it. We did